here's everything you might have missed in the Uncharted trailer. Folks, between The Flash, Black Adam, and now Uncharted, it's a banner month for trailers for movies that I were fairly certain were just elaborate pranks on me personally. On Thursday, though, Sony proved me wrong by releasing the first trailer for the long-gestating Uncharted movie, starring Tom Holland as the wisecracking treasure hunter Nathan Drake, and Mark Wahlberg as his thoroughly un-mustachioed mentor/partner in crime, Sully. With multiple sequences taken straight out of the video game, some surprising revelations, and globetrotting action, Uncharted looks as though it's trying its best to bring the action and adventure of Naughty Dog's critically acclaimed video game franchise to life. Now we're going to break down everything that you might have missed in the trailer, including Easter eggs and hidden details, so if you're worried about potential spoilers or you'd rather experience it for yourself, leave now before you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Set to the sweet strains of Led Zeppelin's Ramble On, the Uncharted trailer gives us our best look yet at Nathan Drake, Sully, Chloe, and the treasure hunt that's going to take them all over the world to places unknown. Now, the trailer opens with Nathan Drake and Chloe Fraser, played by Sophia Ali, exploring an ancient temple with massive vases in the background. You just know that somewhere Link is furiously grinding his teeth. But who knows, maybe they'll be involved in a version of one of the game's many puzzles that players must solve on their never-ending treasure hunt. Anyway, they break open a door inscribed with what looks like a ship's wheel, but could just be a mechanism to open said door, and I'm already overthinking things. Then we see Nathan pull a map case from the sand, and inside is a map charting Magellan's circumnavigation around the world, which we'll see in Sully's house later on. Now this is going to be the central treasure hunt of the movie, as we'll see, and it's either a twist on the Marco Polo storyline from Uncharted 2 or a brand new treasure hunt specifically for this movie. Now, if you recall, back in October 2020, Tom Holland, Nathan Drake voice actor Nolan North, and Naughty Dog shared some first-look images of the film on Twitter. Naughty Dog shared an image of a golden relic inserted like a key to unlock something in what appeared to be a dusty old crypt. Naughty Dog shared this image with a quote attributed to Magellan: "Meet the shadowy future without fear and conquer the unknown." Now, the other photo in this post is a close-up shot of Francis Henry Hill Guillemard's 1890 Magellan biography, Magellan, the Life of Ferdinand Magellan, and the First Circumnavigation of the Globe. We then take things back a step and catch up with Nathan working as a bartender in New York City. In the movie timeline, this is where Nathan first meets Sully, who apparently knows exactly who Nathan is, and this is a marked shift from their actual first encounter in the video game lore. As we learned in Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, Sully first met a young Nathan during a mission to steal Sir Francis Drake's ring in Colombia. You know, the ring that Nathan wears around his neck all the time, always? Well, as you can imagine, Nathan got to it first, and Sully was sufficiently impressed with the young lad and took the young thief under his wing. Now, clearly they hit it off because soon they're back at Sully's place looking over his many rare antiquities and souvenirs from around the world, including some postcards that are going to prove important later in the trailer. Also, as we see later in the trailer, Sully's post-bar stop for pizza is apparently fraught with peril, but more on that in just a moment. Now, in Sully's office, Nathan is drawn to the map of Magellan on the wall and the stories of his legendary lost treasure, which, as Sully points out, is worth $5 billion when adjusted for inflation. We also see an insert of a book about Magellan and another book titled The House of Moncada, an 800-year dynasty, referring to a noble Spanish house of the same name that dates back to at least the 11th century. Although Ferdinand Magellan was Portuguese by birth, before he made his famous voyage around the world, he renounced his Portuguese nationality and swore fealty to Spain's King Charles I. With Spanish nobility likely footing the bill for that voyage, it's reasonable to assume the Moncadas and Antonio Banderas' character would want to recoup their family's investment. We see some of Magellan's treasure spill on the floor in the next shot, presumably meaning that someone will find it, but will they keep it? Only time will tell. After that, we see Nathan setting up blueprints for an auction house on the window of Sully's office. This is teasing an auction house heist scene straight out of Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, which we'll see more of later in the trailer. Now, much like in the game, they need to steal a cross, so perhaps this is the movie's version of the Cross of St. Dismas, as Sam calls it in the game, and we saw something very similar in those first look images. Then, in a pretty unexpected twist, Sully mentions Nathan's brother Sam, a character we didn't really meet or learn much about until Uncharted 4, by the way. Sully and Sam apparently have a history in the game, and Sam even intimates that in the game, Sully double-crossed him at one point, which is alluded to by Chloe later in the trailer. Anyway, after a mission went wrong, Sam was left for dead and wound up imprisoned for 15 years with Nathan having no idea that he actually survived. The question then becomes, could Sam actually be played by Nolan North in a mystery role, or is that going to be a much briefer cameo for the iconic voice actor? Or who knows, maybe they're saving Sam for some kind of post-credits reveal to set up the inevitable sequel. Moving on, we get an insert shot of Sir Francis Drake's ring with the Sic Parvis Magna inscription, which translates to greatness from small beginnings. For context, Nathan Drake is a self-proclaimed descendant of Sir Francis Drake, and he feels a particular affinity for Drake and that ring. In Uncharted Drake's fortune, it also proves crucial in the hunt for the lost city of El Dorado, but given that Nathan's not wearing it in the previous shot, this feels like some time has passed between these moments. So where did Nathan get the ring? Did he already have it? Did Sully give it to him as a present from Sam? We'll just have to wait and see. After that, we see Nathan in his signature Henley riding a speedboat, then climbing out of the water and finding a beached pirate ship. Now this could be Captain Avery's ship like we saw in Uncharted 4 at Thief's End. Now, for context, Henry Avery was an infamous English pirate whose heist of the Grand Mughal treasure ship, the Ganji Sawai, made him one of the wealthiest pirates in the world, and he fled with a hoard of approximately $126 million in modern money. Here, though, it's likely one of Magellan's ships where they stashed the treasure if they're adapting that game's plot to fit this new Magellan storyline. After that, Sully hints that if Nathan finds the gold, he'll find Sam as well, but unfortunately it seems like Nathan might also find some sort of betrayal along the way, especially given the past between Sully and his brother. The next shot takes us to Barcelona, where we see the sweeping spires of La Sagrada Familia. They meet Chloe there, who's surprised to see Nathan. We first met Chloe in Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, and she's a skilled treasure hunter and a smooth operator who plays both sides to her benefit at times. Here, it looks like she might have stolen something from Nathan based on the parkour scene that follows. After that, we see Nathan diving, presumably to swim to Henry Avery or Magellan's ships in that hidden cove, and then we finally see Antonio Banderas' unnamed villain climbing out of a car, which we'll later see falling out of a plane. And then we also get the close-up of the cross our heroes so desperately need to pilfer. And just like in Uncharted 4, Sully takes Sam's role and dresses up as a waiter or security guard to stay undercover and steal the cross while Nathan disables the power. Unfortunately for Sully, his cover is blown when Tati Gabrielle as the mysterious henchwoman Braddock puts a knife to his throat. And as we see later in the trailer, Nathan's hands will also be awfully full trying to decipher a Scottish brogue.
What?
Nathan will also apparently fight other goons at the auction house as well, and even swing on a chandelier to try and make good his escape, kinda like Jackie Chan in Police Story. This is followed by 3 boats worth of Antonio's goons heading to a beach, presumably to find Magellan's treasure. And based on what else we see in the trailer, my best guess is that they capture Sully or someone else to force Nathan and potentially Chloe to lead them to said treasure. In one of the tombs or temples, we see Chloe pointing a gun at Nathan, and she tells him, "You have no idea who you're partnered with," referring to Sully, and something that he's not telling Nathan, presumably about Sam. So does this mean that Sully has betrayed Nathan? Is Chloe secretly working for Antonio Banderas? I mean, she does like to keep you guessing in the game sometimes, but ultimately, we know she's going to be on the side of the angels, as we'll see on the cargo plane. Next, we see some quick shots of Nathan putting on his signature holster and completing his iconic video game costume aboard the treasure ship as he prepares to shoot some bad guys. After that, we see the infamous cargo plane as Braddock and 2 other primary henchmen step out. We then get a quick shot of Nathan trapped underwater trying to open a hatch, so it seems like things aren't going well for our hero. And then we get perhaps the biggest bombshell yet. We see that San Sebastian postcard that was in Sully's office earlier. It's a letter from S, which could mean Sully, but most likely is from Sam given the narration about leaving one final clue. The letter is addressed to Nathan and has a secret message that reads, "The keys are your compass." So maybe this is referring to the cross being used as a key. We see Nathan jamming the cross from the auction into an ancient keyhole, followed by Nathan and Chloe simultaneously unlocking something in a golden altar, which in turn triggers a trap. After that, we see Chloe shooting a bad guy aboard the cargo plane, potentially to help rescue Nathan, but that quickly backfires as he falls out of the plane, tenuously attached to one of the large cargo pallets. This sequence is taken directly from Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, and it's one of the most thrilling action sequences in the entire series. Now, if you look closely, it seems like they're above the ocean en route to whatever islands Magellan passed through on his voyage around the world. And once again, just like in Uncharted 3, our hero winds up in freefall despite his best efforts to clamber aboard the plane, thanks to Deus Ex Machina. I said... I mean, honestly, it's a great adaptation of the sequence from the game, but the only thing missing here is Nathan Drake's signature, no, no, no. No, no, no! Last but not least, there are a pair of scenes worth mentioning. We see Chloe and Nathan exploring a cobweb-ridden hallway, and we see Braddock choking out Sully in a pizza place, which is fitting because she failed to give his throat the New York slice at the auction house, so she's gonna make up for it here instead. So perhaps this could be why Chloe and Nathan seem to be the ones doing all the exploring, because if Sully is captured, he could serve as leverage over the other two. It could also lead to an adaptation of the one shot at this mission where Chloe and Nathan need to rescue a captured Sully from an airfield of sorts, given where we saw the plane parked in the previous shot of Braddock and her henchmen. Or maybe Sully just sold them all out. I mean, the dude doesn't have a mustache. I don't trust any Sully without a mustache, and neither should you. Anyway, folks, there you have it. That is everything we spotted in the Uncharted trailer. We'll be waiting with bated breath to find out more and crossing our fingers of a mustache appearing at some point on Sully's upper lip. In the meantime, though, tell us, what did you think of the Uncharted trailer? Did you spot anything that we missed?
Oh, crap! No!
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.